Hi. First off, once again, we're getting uh, hesitation here. So if it starts and stops, I do apologize, but it's starting. The uh, the disturbance I was kind of hoping would not happen is about to happen here. Uh, as tensions rise outside the venue that held the Trump rally, there's a lot of yelling, there's a lot of screaming, and a lot of people holding up their cell phones. So as I'm saying, the scrum begins. Um, I put out a headline on this particular uh, live stream without taking a look to the left and seeing what's happening outside um, in Tulsa. By the way, my name is Don, and I just spent 90 minutes of my life along with somebody else. 90 minutes that I will never get back listening to the um, streaming consciousness of one Donald John Trump. I'm sure you'll find this particular um, speech somewhere in somewhere on this particular platform. So welcome to all this. If you haven't subscribed already, red buttons down below me. Also next to that is a bell. Hit all for notifications. And this stuff is starting to cost. And if you can help us out by going to our sources of income, aka our piggy bank at paypal.me/radiodon. Thank you for that. So the president basically did his 90 minutes of stuff, and I was watching a split screen with some guy from Occupy Democrats. I don't know if he was from Occupy Democrats or This Now, which is owned by NBC. Bottom line is that they were both two of the most annoying people I've ever heard in my entire life. And he went through the whole thing. He basically smothered on Biden. He smothered on pretty much everybody except himself. The interesting thing about tonight was the crowd. There didn't seem to be one. Um, Empty chairs were out there all over the place at BOK Center. Um, they did manage to put a crowd behind him, but looking out from the speaker's platform into the audience, it was amazing. I'm going to turn the sound up here. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear some of this. I was in Paris for the Yellow Jacket protest in November. There wasn't any more going on here than there was there. Nobody was. Just listen to this for a second, please. Coming down the road like a pepper spraying people. Well, I'm glad you're okay, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Safe travel back home. Yep, appreciate it. Well, we got a CBS contract. Thank you, Captain. And we're going to speak to some of these folks who are inside the arena. Guy just shook a reporter's hand. Pepper spray being deployed
We have yet to hear any of those rounds being fired off right now. It seems like everyone's trying to get back home in as orderly a fashion as possible. Nicole?
Morgan, I'll tell you what I told Cal. Stay safe out there, my friend. Eddie Glaude came to hear about Trump's economic policies, it sounded like, and got sprayed with pepper spray. That's a campaign ad for you.
It sure is. It sure is. I mean, as I look at the images, Nicole, it's the clashing of two Americans, right? I mean, it's as visual, it's as stark a visual as you can get.
MSNBC coverage.
The state of the country. And what we saw inside or heard inside seems to just speak around it, or at least if it's not speaking around it, it's stoking the fire underneath it. I mean, we are on a knife's edge. It is very clear as we look at these images, and we see the vastly different ways in which these people seem to understand the state of the country. It's amazing on a certain level.
I want to push back on one thing. How far are we if 76% of Americans support the mission of Black Lives Matter? And I think 100% of Americans would like to hear what anyone who wants to leave this country would do for the economy. I think the images and the clashes are in service of Donald Trump. He wanted this image. He went there so that this would be what people saw tonight. But you've got 76% of Americans, and 76% of Americans haven't agreed on all that much. They want to see the opposite of what he's peddling. I think everybody would like to see an end to the pandemic. I think everybody would like a president that they could go see without. The reason that gentleman had pepper spray on him is because Donald Trump insisted on holding a rally against the advice of his own CDC. He went rogue. He went to this city, still sort of tending to their specific wounds that are evoked. I mean, he picked Tulsa. He picked Juneteenth. He put his support of that gentleman right there in danger. Trump did that.
You know, I think both of our claims could be true at the same time, Nicole. And that is to say, we could make the claim that the majority of Americans hold the very views that you just laid out. But then there's the 42%, the 30%, the 20%. However we want to describe it, step back. And when we think about the country over its history, we have seen that particular percentage of the country really have the nation by the throat. And you combine that with greed, because Donald Trump, during his speech, your 401ks, the NASDAQ, historic, Wall Street, historic, folks who are worried about their taxes, right? You combine that with greed, and you get, in some ways, these stark contrasts that we're talking about. I'm seeing here in these images, and I think you're right, Donald Trump wants them, right, for a variety of reasons, but I'm seeing vastly different Americans, and they impact our politics, even though the numbers suggest that 76% actually hold a view of the country that isn't this, if that makes sense.
I'm going to leave that off for a while. Nicole Wallace is right. And I've been trying to say that on social media for some time. Think of every move that Donald Trump has made in this entire situation that involves Tulsa. He wanted to do that rally at BOK, which is pretty much across the freeway from the area in Tulsa known as Black Wall Street, where the massacre occurred many, many years ago. He wanted that. He wanted that. He wanted people to spill out into the streets at that moment, in that place, in that piece of real estate, knowing that there would be people like the BLM contingent there. He was hoping for a riot. Think of the fact that Donald Trump called, I believe it was the mayor of the mayor of Tulsa, and persuaded him to remove the boycott, not boycott, but the curfew that was in place until Donald Trump called up and said, lift it. Technically, maybe, I don't know if it started at 9 or 10 in Tulsa. If it started in at 10, they had some time to get out of there. And now I'm looking at a really angry man with a bald head. He's a Caucasian man. He is holding some sign. I don't know what that sign looks like. There are, it was sort of like a makeshift cross. There's another person who says Jesus loves you. That's on the main screen. There's a secondary screen on the MSNBC screen that shows people just trying to get home and all that, and they got a talking head on the lower third. But this is what Donald Trump wanted. He wanted a riot. He may not get it if for whatever reason, mainly because there wasn't enough people showing up at that rally. As I joked earlier on somewhere else, there seemed to be less people at that rally than at an XFL game. So we're going to keep an eye on this. And we'll keep you posted. There are a few other things I wanted to talk about, but I'm not going to because people are mad at me enough as it is. But I will tell you this. If I get the virus, and if it gets bad enough, and they say, Don, you need to put the ventilator in, I will have strict instructions to do one last podcast. And I've got a hell of a lot of things to say at that point. A hell of a lot to say, but I'm not going to say it right now because society and various and sundry TOSs. But at 7:37 in Los Angeles, 9:37, now 9:38 in Tulsa, it is looking like the Trump people are just trying to get home, and the BLM people are just trying to get home. And there are people out there who are trying to stir up something, but apparently they're not going to have that happen. Tonight's rally was a total failure, in my opinion. From beginning to end. He didn't get the audience he wanted, and he didn't get the coverage he wanted because MSNBC and CNN basically cut out after the first 15 seconds of his speech, it seemed. As a matter of fact, I think that I think it was Joy Reid who was there starting the coverage. Said, we're not going to show you all of it. We're just going to show you how this thing starts and see what happens. In the meantime, I am now looking at a picture of BOK Center inside, and boy, is that place empty. This has not been a good night for Donald Trump after what could very well be described as not a good week or even 2 weeks for Donald Trump. He loses actually 4 times in the Supreme Court. You get 2 actual losses and you get 2, no, we're not going to take up this. You know, we got better things to do. He's getting polls from Fox News showing him way behind. The Bolton book is coming out, and this afternoon they said that, yeah, go ahead, sell. And now this debacle in Tulsa, where he got a lot of empty seats. And that is not normal for a Trump rally. Because like him or not, a Trump rally is always a happening. It wasn't tonight. Like I said, before I die, there are a lot of things I need to talk to you about. Because you'll hate me for what I say, but I'll be too dead to care. Okay, I'm done. We will talk to you soon. I now know how to do this voice only. Take care, everybody. Good night.